Builder's Journey. It's a game most of you won't have heard of, and yet I think it may hold the title of Best LEGO Game. The emotional and engaging storyline of this Apple Arcade game really makes this more than a 40 or so level puzzle game, and I'm here to share why that's the case here, more so than even a few AAA games. So sit back, relax, and let the melodic calm of Builder's Journey wash you away. First, I wanted to start with the sound. Just the ambience of nature and the clicking of the bricks, so peaceful and calming. The game opens with no menu or tutorial, instead just an empty square with a loose brick. You build a few things, then a wave comes and knocks it down. You don't feel mad or confused that your work over the last few levels has been just washed away. It just happens, and I really can't describe how that works. It just sort of feels okay. There's always this sort of simplicity as well as satisfaction to the basic creation crumbling and being washed away. I'd also like to interject that the lighting and the water animations are absolutely wonderful. Anyway, we then introduced to two stacks of bricks, a father and a son. They build a sandcastle in turns, and anyone playing can just about relate to this. We've all been children, we've all had fun with parents. It brings this smile to your face just participating in it, and that's the theme I wanted to touch on. Despite no introduction, names, no words or confirmation, you know that it's a dad and a son, and that they're on an adventure having fun. And throughout the journey, they use the levels very carefully to tell elements of a wordless story that to some extent every human can relate to. I'll come back to that story in a bit, but I just find it incredible how much you feel for these two faceless, nameless stacks of plastic. The gameplay is simple yet engaging. There are only about 5 or so unique gimmicks that they add, but they're all introduced in such backseat ways that I actually had to think back to these levels and then experiment with these concepts in order to beat the final levels of this game. Not only is this very rewarding, but in my eyes this is brilliant game design, because you've been given the tools that you need, and then you just have to remember which one to use. Even I, who played the entire game in one sitting, couldn't just solve every puzzle in an instant, particularly the cause and effect levels towards the end of the game. For a game based off the most sophisticated interlocking brick system, you'd think that if you weren't into LEGO, you'd be in for an awful time. But the game's actually ridiculously intuitive in this way, and even when I asked some non-LEGO fans to play it, they picked it up instantly, as connecting bricks is something timeless. Everyone knows the brand and how it fundamentally works, and that's how the game gets away with basing its entire concept around the system of LEGO, which has a huge fandom behind it. Because the game takes these complex techniques and giant structures that we build with LEGO in the real world, and returns to this simpler time of just bricks to make a wall, a castle, and leaves any decoration in the game up to you. It doesn't matter how you place the crenellations on your castle as long as you place them. And that tells you that they know who they're dealing with. It doesn't matter if you follow the pattern that you can't actually see, but you're still going to enjoy the experience. Another thing is that yes, the game was engaging enough to play all 40 levels in a row. I could not break away, and that to me was all down to two aspects: the love that clearly went into the making of this game, and the story. The game is so simple that you would be hard pressed not to see it, even if we are talking about the centimetre high stacks of plastic which are our characters. We get to meet our father-son duo and see them having fun. They go on their adventure and have to camp for the night. And for the father, is the first time you get to build the campfire and the tent to keep the child warm and dry. I definitely felt that they were going for a sense of fatherly care with this, coming from the dad when you're playing them in this level. It sounds so stupid, the fact that we're talking about 2 stacks of plastic, but I can't explain it in any other way. The levels in this game all evoke basic emotions. They draw on human experiences of the same kind, and most of all connected me to what was going on in the plot. Anyways, they get home from their adventure and start to have fun when the dad has to go to work. The action of the game then switches consistently between the fun activity of building a fort with your child in the garden to the monotonous repetition of the working world and the responsibility that comes with that. We also see the effect of this on the child and how the adult secretly just wants to play too. The game really excels here. The simple gameplay makes the work of the adult feel even more monotonous. The constant switching between the fun and droll, as well as the shift in accompanying music for each of these sections, is fabulous. The transitions between the segments are slow and impart the reluctance of both parties when the dad has to go to work, and they cannot continue their fun. The employer of the father is a faceless machine, just like a lot of workplace jobs that must feel like you're just a cog in the machine. Anyway, eventually the dad stays at work into the night, and again we can all relate to this too, the sense of a parent working a long night when all you wanted them for really is to play with you at home. And this is where the third act of the game begins, where the child seeks other entertainment, and this comes in the personification of playing by yourself. So when you start to grow up, obviously playing by yourself, and he builds himself a robot to play with. This robot here on the screen. By the way, interjecting, this resembles something very close to Junkbot in my eyes. You know, Junkbot, legend of the Flash games, my personal hero that loves trash and says only one word. You know, the one that appears here, and here, and here. Maybe this is the anti-Junkbot, because this robot is a companion character that regurgitates pieces to help the puzzles, one of the gimmicks of the game. Set out on a replacement adventure without the dad, but this soon turns into a quest to automate the dad's job and have him play with the child forever. This last stage of the game is the most complex and mechanical, with even a few cause and effect stages toward the end. This is simply wonderful. It shows so much character and is so relatable to any human ever. Even if you didn't know your parents, the emotions are so surface level for all of us, so prevalent and commonplace. But in total, it just swept me along with the simple plot, and along in the rhythm to the emotions. The game is incredible that it manages to convey this in so little content, really. Right, it's time. The inner LEGO nerd inside of me has been dying to talk to you about this. But isn't it just gorgeous? The LEGO environment and the way it's been constructed. If you're really in deep to the fandom like me, I spent time just looking at all of the parts that they shoved in. The borders could have been flat, but here they added ingot pieces. Why? The natural textures and ungrid-like nature of such a naturally square product in such a square-based game design is incredible, and I loved every second I spent staring at this incredibly designed, gorgeously built LEGO landscape. So much love went into this, and you can really tell how much effort they took in building every LEGO. How much effort they took in building every level and every water animation along with it. I cannot praise the style they went for enough. Even the company logo is the retro old light brick. I own one of these from the 70s. It had wires. In conclusion, the designers were clearly LEGO fans, and this all came together so well for them. They created this beautiful hybrid of natural sounds, a compelling story that didn't rely on exposition, that had me much engaged from beginning to end. I cannot praise this enough as a fan of LEGO. This is a must play. It takes everything we love about the brick and gives it a personality and a lush environment. And even if you're just a fan of puzzle games or of Junkbot, this is a quality experience and a welcome surprise. It's really no surprise that this game won Game of the Year for mobile.